Hello everyone. Welcome to Please Tell Me. Our first topic this week is about internet celebrities. In the US, TikTok has more than 40 million active users monthly. Each user spends on average 50 minutes every day on the app. In China, by January 5th of 2020, the daily active user exceeded 400 million. As a result, TikTok has created a lot of internet celebrities. Even the entry barrier is so low that anyone with a cell phone can start a career. Not everyone can make money from it. This guy caught my attention this week. His name is Jiang Tao. The first time he appeared in public was back to 2011 when he attended a recruitment show on TV. He was kind of funny with the trademark of big laughters. Thereafter, he started to attend all different kinds of reality shows. He was set up to be a nerdy, funny, dummy type of person. He is funny, but as you may imagine, that's all about it. Recently, he became an internet celebrity, a full-time short video creator along with live stream MC. In his video, he holds a cardboard that says $1 for laughter. A girl came, gave him $1. He laughed for a second. The girl asked, "What? That's it?" He responded, "Pay me 100 if you want more." The girl paid him 100. He laughed wildly for 5 seconds. The video ended. It's reported that he had earned hundreds of thousands of dollars in months by being an internet celebrity. When I reviewed his resume, he had an associate degree in public administration from a very humble college. The original career path he should have taken was to find an office job, worked hard for 10 years, probably being a mid-level white collar by now. Thanks to the great internet, people like Jiang Tao now have a second chance now to go through the scripts written for them. They do not have to obtain an MBA to understand the business because they already know how to make money by themselves. They do not have to work overtime to please their supervisors because they are their own boss. Thousands of young people like Jiang Tao without any background are entering short video or live stream apps with the hope they could make a fortune. What they are doing now is not only dancing with tight jeans, but also making fun of themselves, or even something dangerous or potentially harmful to their health. For my father's generation, the only way to get more money was to work hard and be lucky. In the new generation, working hard appears to be a less attractive option than being lucky. The internet celebrities effect has made college like a joke. Universities in the last decades have been manufacturing people with better and better skills. In the job description, the company would like a college graduate to be able to have knowledge and understanding of their upcoming work, to be able to work under pressure and a fast-paced environment, and to be a team player. Everything was written down about what a qualified college graduate and a person is. The internet has changed the game by adding another racetrack where you only need to be able to catch people's eyes. Gradually, some cultures become very difficult for the outsiders to understand, and those people are socially isolated from the rest. When the internet first appeared and the globalization started, it's forecasted that the world will be flat. All of a sudden, we find the world is not flat, was never flat, and will never be flat. Actually, it's breaking up. Along with time, it's breaking up more and more into millions of tiny groups. It's hard to say if the internet has changed the world or just help us see the real world. For the young generation, they are so busy jumping between different apps, which is no different from what their father's generation did 50 years ago in Woodstock. The only difference is they may not find any spaces available when they return from the trip. Our next news is about education. A private school in Shanghai recently published an article called Enrolling in our school, did you really think through? It's reported as a brutal humiliation to a lot of parents. Let's read a few interesting quotes from the article. Our school has a great parents-teaching community. A high percentage of communities are professors, judges, entrepreneurs, mechanicals, writers, IT elites, counselors, and so on, providing a great selection for our curriculums. Our spring break is at Disneyland. Every semester, students will go to Shanghai Opera Center, Shanghai Musical Center for shows. Well, all of these are not free. Parents also need to pay 5 meals a day and beautiful uniforms. If a student goes abroad for competition or study, parents pay too. Private school is for profit. You need to think through. We have achieved tremendous results in all kinds of academic competitions. Well, we have screened those students on purpose. Our program is challenging. Teachers graduate from the best colleges in China. After the second year, there is still a high challenging curriculum. Well, you have to make it yourself if you want to enroll. This article has caused a great resistance and condemnation for capitalizing education. Later, the school posted an apology on their website. I don't quite understand what they are apologizing for. It's a private school with more than $2,000 tuition every semester. Of course, you need to pay all kinds of fees, plus it's a boarding school. This article seemed to be very reasonable and truthful to a lot of Americans. Do private schools have a strong parents network? Of course. Do they go to Disneyland for spring break? Well, at least. Do private schools screen students? For sure. Is the private school program challenging? Yeah. I'm not sure if Chinese do not understand what a private school does, or they cannot get used to people telling them that. Well, another side of the question is, how do Americans get used to it? Education was never a fair deal in both countries. In Asian China, only rich people can afford to go to school and hired private tutors. There was only a very, very small percentage of the population who can read, so some of them became officials through an exam system. After 1949, the education seemed to be more fair as part of the communism. Well, it was partially true. There were a couple of schools in Beijing that only accepted offspring from the officials. After the great economic reform in the 1980s, capitalism was finally brought into the education industry. Today in Beijing, there are many international schools available which only allow students with foreign passport to enroll, or the tuition can be more than $30,000 a year. What's more, once the student was enrolled into the international school system, the student is kicked out of the regular education system and is no longer eligible for the China Higher Education Entry Exam, which means they cannot go to a Chinese college. Even in the case of the school who published an article, a lot of students already rule out the option to go to Chinese universities. Things are not going well on the public school system because of the school district. In Beijing, a small 600 square feet apartment in an excellent school district can be treated over $2 million. So basically, the Chinese education has been broken down into many different categories. On the American side, education has been broken down on every possible level years ago, and people accept the fact. People do not argue why their kids can never go to private school because the price tag is already out of their reach. It's well known that the family income level largely determines the children's education level: high school drop-off, high school graduate, community college, state, or Ivy League. Years ago, I watched a movie called Slumdog Millionaire. It was a fantastic movie, but I could not understand why it's so widely recognized, as such a story happens every day in China. The great economy reform has changed the lives of millions, and a lot of them become millionaires. Later, when I came to the US and learned about the American life, I truly understand how hard it is to break through all the barriers life set up before you can reach another level. Anyway, there was one very common thing in both China and the US. The best universities in both countries are exactly same colleges, like Harvard, Yale, MIT, Stanford, and so on. The first section of May is a Chinese holiday season. Unlike the year before, this year turns out to be an extremely tough one, considering the significant impact from the COVID. So a lot of businesses are trying their best to promote. One gas station in Guangxi province had a brilliant idea. With one more dollar, a beautiful bikini girl will serve you. Please don't. The girl will only help you to gas up. It's actually gaining a lot of traffic to the gas station. Another real estate company also hired some girls to help sell houses. They were not in bikini this time, but in a master degree cap and gown with heavy makeup. Of course, very soon both promotions were pulled off by Chinese officials for the reason not appropriate business activities. I could not imagine what would happen when the US tries to reopen the entire nation after the COVID. In some states, businesses are allowed to open 25% capacity, which can hardly make the ends meet. A Georgia barbershop reopens can only serve 2 customers in 1 hour and has to do an extremely detailed disinfection work. Will Shell gas station promote business by bikini girls, or the KB home hires college girls to help sell new houses? I don't know. This world has a built-in momentum we never paid attention to. The COVID has dramatically changed it, and may never return the way it was working before. It's not only the struggle of a gas station in Guangxi province of China, or a barbershop in Georgia, US. It will be a struggle for entire human beings, and serve as a reminder of how fragile our lives are. To survive is always a privilege in nature. It's true, either to a tiny microorganism or a huge tiger. Nature has told us it's such a misunderstanding that humans deserve and will live longer and better than the rest of the world. Back to the question, what will happen when the nation reopen? It's very hard to predict. The only thing can be firm is there will be a lot of debate about what appropriate business promotions are and what are not. Maybe give people some trust and freedom as long as all behaviors are legal in this special time to survive worth more than anything. Our last news this week is very sad actually. It's about a desperate son. He came from Shanxi province, China, and is 50 years old. He lives in a remote rural area with his wife and mother, who is 79 years old and paralyzed. He has not been living with his mother for a long time until about 6 months ago when her health condition went down. It's such a heavy burden for a family to take care of a paralyzed senior citizen. After a few months living with his mother and probably a lot of thoughts, he made a decision to let her mother disappear from his life. So he buried her alive in a very remote corner of the village. Luckily, after almost 70 hours, his mother was finally rescued and now is healthy. This is apparently a criminal case, so I will leave more details to the police department. How to support senior citizens' life is another huge topic in China. Chinese even invented a word called empty nest parents, which refers to the parents who live in their hometown while their children had left to work in other cities. In the Great Economic Development, hundreds of millions of Chinese had left their hometowns to work in large cities. Most people, due to education, can only do very entry-level work with a low pay. Well, no matter how low the pay is in a large city, they are still making more money than they could at home. As mentioned in my previous episode, in China, you are only one of the poverty populations when the annual income is less than $326. Well, their parents, of course, normally stay at home to take care of kids. Those people only go back home once a year during the Spring Festival, as the news described, the billion level Great Spring Festival transportation. Actually, when those parents become old, their children normally come back to take care. As you may know, China has a very restrictive residency system, especially in large cities. You don't become a Beijing citizen naturally after 20 years working in the city. So your children cannot go to public schools. You can only use the public welfare system at a very, very minimum level. And of course, you cannot afford to buy a house. As a result, people go back to their hometown in their 50s or 60s. At the same time, their children go to big cities again for another round of life, or they can start a career on TikTok. Americans seem to have a little bit more options. People normally do not live in the same city they grew up and not with parents. When people get old, they can stay at home with a fixed income or go to nursing homes or senior centers, etc. But people do not go back to their parents. The state I live in is very good for retirement. A lot of time I saw some parents buy a house in a retirement community, which is probably 30 minutes away from where their children's place, so they can get together now and then. Well, not a lot of parents have such options. Most parents can only see their children or grandchildren once or twice a year. Everyone will be old someday, so we are all curious about what may happen to us. From the current condition, whatever will happen does not seem to leave us a lot of options. Some of us will die at 65 and buried at 79. Thanks for listening to Please Tell Me. I will see you next week.